Hi friends, thank you all so much for being here today. I'm really excited to get this going. My name is Kelsey Ellis. I am the ZAP Impact Program Manager. And before we jump into our great content with these amazing people today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the ZAP program. So a lot of you are probably familiar with ZAP, you might be grantees, but in case you are not, just a little background here. The ZAP program, we're primarily a grant funding agency, but we also do promotion for grantees. And more recently, we have started the ZAP Impact Program. So that's where this workshop came from. Some of the other elements of the Impact Program include this collaborative program. So the collaborative program also does trainings and capacity building opportunities, but we do it through a cohort style of learning. And in fact, one of our cohort members is here today, so really excited to have Katie here. We also have workshops and lunch and learns. So these are these one-off opportunities that we do mostly in person, but our lunch and learns, we do those as a virtual offering. Not just exclusive to our grantees, we kind of open up the doors so we can meet new people, start to build some relationships, as well as have you build relationships with your peers and community members. The last program I have up here, Local Arts Agency, this is a program that's still in development. We're kind of getting this going, but it is more kind of capacity building and collaborative opportunities, specifically for organizations that fill the role of a local arts agency. So a few things, and if you're interested also in learning about the ZAP granting opportunity, have questions about the Impact Program, you can snag me at the end, or we have a few other staff members who are out there. Happy to talk to you about it if you have questions. So for today, we are just going to be in this room today, and I will finish this welcome and stop speaking pretty soon, but I do want to give you a few logistics. So of course, as you came in, snacks and drinks over here if you need to get up and get those. If you need to use the restroom, it's at the other end of the lobby. So if you go out the doors, walk all the way down, it'll be on the right-hand side. Let's see. Also, because we're a more intimate space today, this is very casual. Feel free, of course, to get up, walk around if you need to. As you can see, we are recording today, so just be mindful of that as you get up and move around, but I just want you to be aware of that. Recording will be available just in the coming weeks after this is over. So if you have people who didn't make it today that might be interested in this, we will share this out. So, after I finish speaking, we'll go to our panelists up here. So these amazing humans up here include Jessica Liebrick is our Mid-Valley Performing Arts Venue Manager. Jeff Gwillem is the Associate Division Director of Operations. Lisa, at the end, is our Artics Manager. And then Jen Needfield is our Community Engagement Senior Manager. So all of us work for the Division of Arts and Culture within Salt Lake County. A few things also on your table. We have some packets. Our presenters are going to be making reference to some of the documents in there, so if you want to make some notes on there, you can grab one of those before you leave. If you need extra copies or prefer something digital, just let me know. I'll email it to you when we're done. So after each person speaks, what I think would be nice, if you have a clarifying question, of course, please raise your hand. We'll come answer your questions. But there will be ample time for questions at the end. And that includes, so if we want to have some group discussion, conversation, you have questions that you're comfortable sharing with your group, great, because I'm sure somebody else has the same question. But also if you prefer maybe just one-on-one, some personal question time, our presenters, as well as myself, will be here when we wrap up. So if you want to save some time at the end for that, just know that we're here for you. Okay, any questions before we get started? Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you again for being here today. And let's get to, oh yeah, go ahead.
So I just had a question about, I sent a question in earlier too while I was thinking about it. So if those get through, or...
They are aware of your questions. So hopefully they will be answered during their presentation piece, but if not, I'm glad you still have that front of mind. Just be sure we can ask it at the end too.
I just don't remember.
Okay, I'll pull it up for you if we need to. Okay. Yeah, all right, so Jessica.
All right, so Mid-Valley Performing Arts Center. I noticed several of you have booked here or have booked at our sister venues downtown. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about kind of like the contracting process. I think most of you have been through that, but rather maybe some of the pain points you're hitting or the reasons why we're doing certain things, so you know why we're asking certain things of you, which again are really important to being successful here. And again, I'll touch mostly on kind of booking and contracting, and my cohorts will talk in different details. So, little background, make sure I have this the right direction. This is our first regional theater with Salt Lake County Arts and Culture. As you may know, we have a Bravenel Hall, Rose Wagner, Eccles Theater, and Capitol Theater downtown. But this is the first time we ventured out of downtown Salt Lake City. We do have our own dedicated staff here, so we have 2 event managers, 2 technical directors, 2 operations workers who are usually here. We do share as we need to with the other venues, and myself are dedicated here. And then we do share our larger services with all of the other venues, so that includes ticketing, patron services, our EMT services. And then general administration. So we opened just about 3 years ago with the goal of truly being a community resource and serving as many people as possible, as many different clients. Well, I feel like we've succeeded at that. In our 3 years since opening, we've seen 200 different clients and hosted 1,600 different activities. So we are keeping very busy, and we are continuing to get busier. So the good news is we've been successful at meeting that goal, but it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. Our calendar is very full. We do book out about 18 months prior to a season starting. Our seasons are September through August. And right now our calendar is open through August 2026. So through the remainder of this season, we're about 85% booked. And we're already at about 70% for the next season. So I'm guessing this is a big pain point for a lot of people, is our calendar is very booked. To manage the amount of volume that we receive for bookings, we have mirrored a priority booking process. We've done this much like our sister venues downtown, where frequent users are able to get in before the calendar opens to the general public. All of those requests are taken at the same time and are given the same priority. To become a frequent user, you need to have booked here for 3 consecutive seasons. If you do not book a season, you will lose that status because of just the sheer volume we're dealing with. Then when we do get those requests, we go through a pretty comprehensive process of trying to get everybody dates they want. We have found ourselves with 9 people wanting the same Saturday in May. It is complex. I call it Tetris, but I'm not sure that's complicated enough to explain what we do. But we really genuinely go at it doing our absolute best to get everybody dates. We don't always succeed. We do, when we ask for those priority dates, ask for 3 choices, and we hope to get you one of those choices. So I will honestly say we really are trying, but even our priority clients don't always get the dates they want. So once we're done with that, we'll open to the general public, and at that point, all requests are taken on a first-come, first-served basis. So with that said, we'll be opening our next calendar probably around February, and that will be for September 26th, right? August 2027. I never know what year it is in this job, so just bear with me. And as I mentioned, we'll kind of go through that process, and at that point, we are placing holds. I will say this a number of times. Holds are not a guarantee. They are a courtesy. So we will go in with holds, but until you contract those events, it's not a done deal. So just kind of, again, I hope many of you have already been through this process, but a quick overview of once we've booked, you're ready to take that hold to a contract, you're going to reach out to your event manager. If you don't have an event manager, you will get assigned one. Your event manager will stay with you whenever you are booking at Mid-Valley. And if you want to look at the other venues, we will connect you with the right people there. So what I really want to stress, your event manager is always here to help. If you don't know where to go, what to ask, who to see, they will get you in the right place. So always ask them. So they'll get you contracted. A friendly reminder, this is one of those little pain points. Until that contract is executed with a deposit, you are not done. You can't set up tickets, you can't set up anything, and please do not start promoting your event until we really have that done. For those of you doing ticketing, you'll get connected with ArtTix, you'll set up your ticketing. Then you'll, at some point, work with our technical director to advance your show. Again, as a reminder, and I'm sure Jeff will reiterate this, they are your liaison here. They will not run your show, they do not manage your show, but they will happily help you get connected with the things that you need to be successful in that area. And then our staff scheduling. So I don't know if any of you have heard of our Magic published calendar, but about the 20th of each month, we shut down and prep for the next month. And part of that is scheduling our staffing. Every event requires patron services and a technical director and operations regardless of the event. And in some cases, EMTs and concessions will be there. That staff, in a lot of cases, again, is shared with our other 4 buildings. So on that date, we are scheduling many, many events. I dare say sometimes we hit 100 events in a month. So we scramble to get all that set, but once it is done, it is done. So if you haven't gotten us information or requests prior to this, it is really tough for us to do stuff after that date. So if your event manager is really, really bugging you for information, there is a reason, because once this date hits, it is really hard to make changes. So we'll get you scheduled, we'll host your event, I'm sure it will be lovely and successful, and then we will settle your event. And again, your event manager is with you start to finish on this and is really your liaison and support system throughout it all, but the rest of our team will jump in their areas and again, really get everybody to where they need to. So, knowing kind of all of that, some tips to get through our pain points. I've said it once, I'll say it again, your event manager really is your advocate and liaison. They will help you any way they can, so please communicate with them. I know one of the questions was, for example, that you're doing a fundraiser and what are the differences, and my recommendation is talk to your event manager. They can really talk through what we can and can't do, different ideas, what best practices have been, so they really are here to help you. Communicate, please over-communicate. Give me way too many details, ask questions. There's no such thing as a silly question. When you don't communicate, we get ourselves in really weird situations that we don't always know how to deal with. So please communicate. We ask a lot of information, that there really is a reason we're asking for all of that information. We want to be successful, and we want to be able to give you the guidance you need. Again, as you can see, our calendar does fill up quickly. The best advice I can give you is be open, flexible, and creative when trying to find dates. Weekends are tough. Our peak months, November, December, May, and June, are tough. And I don't see any end to that. It only increases each year. So think about looking at non-weekends. Maybe you have to split up your event and you don't do consecutive days. Maybe you use spaces like our rehearsal studio for your dress rehearsal and then do your performances on stage. Please be open to being flexible. We just have a huge volume and we're doing the best we can. And again, your event manager can help you with that. Manager holds, again, they are a courtesy. We try to hold them for 30 days. We will hold them for longer if you're communicating to us and we know what your plans are. We know you can't always get right to a contract. We understand that, but please communicate. Please do not go radio silent on us, because if we have to get down to it and we're not hearing from you, we will remove those holds. So give yourself time. There is a lot of information we need, a lot of steps we need to go through. The more time you give us, the more we can get through any hiccups we might. So they're not there the day of the event, they're dealt with well in advance of that. Oh, I did one wrong. Oh, make sure you've got all of the contracting and documentation in place. Again, things like please don't advertise until you have a contract. Make sure you have insurance, make sure we're getting all of those details in place. And last, remember this is a shared space. We have 2 theaters. I'm going to say 2 rehearsal rooms.
As of yesterday?
As of yesterday, we have a second rehearsal space down the hall, which is very similar to this space. And a lot of activity happening between all of those spaces. For those of you who have booked here, you know the back of house is a shared space. So just be considerate that when you're using the loading dock, for example, be cognizant of the sounds you're making, the noises you're making, where you're putting stuff so people are getting in and out. Access control tends to be a big pain point. We do what we can to make this as secure a building as possible. So there is access control getting you in and out of back of house. And our lobby doors close if there's not a public event. So they're open during Arctics hours and performances, but otherwise they close. We can work with you to find ways to deal with that if that is challenging for you. Some of you have dance groups of about 200 kids, and not being able to just walk in the lobby and pick them up is a challenge, but we do have to work through those things. We can't just assume that it's a done deal. So access control here is just important, and it tends, again, to be a real pain point that I don't think we always think about. Parking is finite. I wish I could have more parking. I don't. So, help us communicate. We do everything we can to communicate, but help communicate to your patrons that parking is limited. Try not to show up late, especially with your kids for dance, so that everyone's stressed out. Try to carpool. There's just nothing we could do. And the lobby is also shared space, so again, be thoughtful about what you're doing in that space because we are trying to serve as many people as possible. So that's my tips for booking and contracting at Mid-Valley. So we'll pass it over to Jeff William.
I'll just say thank you so much, Jessica. My office space is right next to Jessica. I have to do this for everything too. I'm in shared, I don't want to call it challenges because this is an extremely supportive team of people, which has made event after event just get a little bit easier. So I really do appreciate these are great resources, amazing humans that work in this building and the other buildings as well. So with that, let's talk even more technical details, right? So, okay, go ahead and we'll go to Jeff. Thank you.
Hello. So some of my background, so I'm the Associate Division Director of Operations. So I'm over roof to foundation and all technical operations in between. 20 some odd years ago, I started as a part-time technical director intern. Before that, I worked for one of the local dance companies, and I worked for sandwiches, I worked for gas money, I worked for all of that. So I'm prefacing all of this of I have worked for organizations like yours over many iterations. I like my position now, but I really loved working for shows as well at the time. In your packets, there's a stage and technical labor guidelines. I'm going to reference that quite a bit. It's also just a really good handy guide. When I started working on this, I called it the Who Are the People in Your Neighborhood. Kind of ages me a little bit there. I don't know that they do that sketch anymore on Sesame Street, but it really gives you kind of a background of Theater 101. Who are the people that work backstage? I'm going to go through needs of why the labor, what we can train your folks to do versus that's a little too much to teach in a weekend or an hour or things like that. The biggest focus for labor is spending your energy as an artistic director or you're an artistic organization on the artistic content. There's huge advantage of bringing in somebody that just kind of does sound or does lighting, things like that, that can focus on getting your vision on stage. And that's honestly why I got into doing what I'm doing, I create a house and art space for you to present your content. And there are huge advantages of having somebody that's specialized in what you're doing. And one of the questions that came in, I don't think Katie's here, but one of the questions is how do I find the right people? And there's a huge breadth of people out there. Some of that is hard for me to say because labor is labor and people are people, and it's hard sometimes to identify. But when you want to get in and focus on what is the primary focus of what you're doing, expense the bulk of your labor budget there, and also work with the fine ZAP folks on how to work your grant so that you can up your dollars for that labor, right? Work on your grant application. That the board loves funding that kind of stuff. So make sure that that is in your content of your grant applications. But focusing on, so we have one theater organization that they have somebody who is pretty good with sound, but they don't know the nuance of the sound console and how to get the right microphones plugged in and set up the right way. Once they're set up, they were able to run their show. They knew their cues for the musical, the 50,000 cues for each of those microphones, but getting it set up became a real, what's the word you used? Conflict point for us. We moved and worked with them that they now bring in somebody to set it up. They pay somebody to come in for 2.5 hours, 3 hours to set up that technical equipment, make sure it's all working right for them, and then they know exactly what they're doing. That really technical setup stuff that our technical directors don't really have time to do for every event because they have other issues that they're working with, that's where focusing a little bit of labor cost on that person for that, and then somebody within the organization or a parent or something like that. We can teach somebody how to push a go button, how to push a slider up and down. It's that back part that's much harder to teach. And that's where our technical directors, when you're working with planning your show, saying, okay, this is what I want to do. These are the volunteers or the parents or the people within our organization that did it back in college, but they don't know what the new technology is. That's where we can get you in touch with somebody that can be a kind of setup crew, things like that. For something like this event, we can get the microphones out and set them up, but if you have somebody that is talking like this and somebody is talking like this, that's where we don't. They're here now because it's me. But in a typical meeting, something like this, and when you're talking about a fundraiser or things like that, having one roaming technician that is really focusing on that and checking on the rooms and things like that, that can be really helpful. Can you get away with leaving the room alone? Maybe, and that's what you need to look at. What is your needs for the evening? How high profile are your attendees versus, it's just a bunch of educators that understand and somebody can nudge somebody and say, get closer or farther away from the microphone. So there are certain specialties, especially in the stage and technical guidelines rigors. Anybody that is putting something up above somebody's head and or suspending somebody from some of our rigging points, I would always recommend, if not require, that you bring in somebody that professionally and does that for a living. There's also, if you're dealing with any pyro, things like that, there's certain state licensing that we just have to deal with. If it really is coming to something safety-wise, that's where I really, really recommend a professional. And you can work with us. We have lists of, like I said, I have worked with some very, very ambitious high school kids that just really want to get the resume and the experience and some sandwich money and, a bag or a giant chocolate bar at the end, and they just want that experience and they want to be able to put your organization on their resume through, when I was doing a lot of my contracting work, my specialty was I was your production manager, your lighting person, and your sound person, because I just slid it all over because I wanted to make the extra $200 and work for your entire weekend for $500 doing all of that stuff for you, rather than you having to spend $600 to hire 2 people to do 2 things. So there are a lot of those resources, and we're building up our Rolodex all of the time on those as they approach us. We bring in interns. We kick a lot of interns towards these projects. I work for one of a ZAP grantee in one of our organizations as their production manager and lighting designer. And I, for years brought in my niece that was a high school student, and then whoever her friends, now she's a college graduate, and she just likes working for me for 3 days out of the year. And then we brought in one of our interns that we're trying to cultivate this relationship. So word of mouth at things like this, talk to each other, say, hey, you do a similar type of thing that I do. Who are you using? Who do you like? Really the evaluating of the labor. And please, for the love of God, if you have issues with somebody that is either not reacting well with your artists, with your organization, they just professed that they knew a lot of things that they didn't, please let us know so that we can use that in our evaluation who we are giving lists out of there, because we don't want to give you bad names either, and we're not always in the trenches with you guys like you are. But word of mouth is really big. On our end, we have to be really careful for legal reasons, who we recommend. We're mostly giving out lists of people who have worked here before, but if there is somebody that really has caused problems either with the venue, equipment, your artists, we have reasons to exclude them from those lists. Yeah, not all technicians are the same. So I'm available for questions afterwards if you have specifics about what your technical requirements and what level you need. Our technical directors are always really helpful in even early on. They're always available. We get into this industry because we're problem solvers, but you've got to give us enough time to solve that problem. So, even months out from your event, you can contact us and say, hey, we're looking at doing something next year. Is it even worth us trying to pursue this, or should we back off, or is there another way to do it? I've had situations, we had this was years ago at Rose Wagner, we had a group that wanted to hang somebody just a little bit from the fly system. They literally wanted to put a noose around somebody's neck and lift them up by just a little bit. We found a creative solution with lighting to make it look like somebody was hanging on stage without putting a human in danger. We have lots of ways of doing this. We've had several situations here where somebody wanted to fly somebody or work with aerials, and the solution that they had presented was just not a safe solution. But with enough time and with, it added a little bit to their budget, but not an exorbitant amount, we were able to get them to the resources to do that within the safety practices. So, but we are always available. We love problem solving on these technical issues, and how do you make, I joked when I worked for Joanne Woodbury with Ryrie Woodbury Dance Company that my job was to take sounds and turn them into reality. When she wanted a drop to go whoosh instead of me, then I had to find a way to make things go whoosh. So that's what we're here for, and we're here to really help you guys find the right people that will let you focus on what you need to focus on. Lisa.
Thanks, Jeff, and I'll take your question in just a minute, but I do want to say all of the things that just got said. First of all, if you have an idea or something that you want to do at your event, chances are this group of people have done it or will be able to problem solve and find a great idea and solution for you. Problem solvers, 100%. But Jeff also mentioned something else that I think is a really good thing to keep in mind, that your greatest resource are your peers. So if somebody is doing something similar to you, pick up the phone, take them out for coffee, have a conversation about it, see what has worked for them and what hasn't worked for them. Chances are they're really happy to share with you the failures, the challenges, and the successes that they have had, so that you don't have to make those same failures and things like that. You can just take from their successes and apply them to your work. So I think that's a really good point. Just know who, and if you ever have an idea and you don't know who might be your peers in the community, that's again what our ZAP team is here for, and we'll try to connect you with like organizations. We're also trying to do that a little bit through the impact program. So when we do workshops, we always leave time to have some networking so we can meet our friends and say, you know, what's going on in your world, so we can kind of share that, the challenges that we go through together. And then you have a question.
Yeah, so Jeff, appreciate all of the information about, you know, finding labor and everything. I know you're well aware that many of us that do rent here quite frequently have a problem finding people, and it sounds like you're aware of that. I guess my question to you is, do you have any advice on how we can vet people? Because even if somebody on the super special list that is provided to us is miraculously available, which a lot of them are not, even if you're asking them, you know, 18 months in advance, because we have our dates so far in advance. But let's say you are able to find someone. Sometimes for someone like me who doesn't have the same kind of experience, you know, with crew, I don't know how to vet people aside from, I mean, yeah, sure, I can talk to my peers, but I don't know the technical side, and I don't necessarily know how to ask the right questions to know who knows how to do what I want to do, because I don't know how to do what I want to do. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you vet people?
So one really, really good way that I have found is, and again, it's the planning ahead, is schedule a walkthrough. So schedule a walkthrough so that with the technical director, you, whoever on your artistic staff, come into the venue and really talk with them about what you're trying to put onto the stage, what you want to do, what are the effects, things like that, and have a conversation with the technical director beforehand saying, I think this person might be a right fit. Budgetarily wise, they're looking like they're a good fit for me. I want to make sure that they're not blowing smoke and they're saying they know how to do this. My guys can really kind of suss out in how they're responding to your questions and can ask them a few questions, things like that. That's probably one of the better ways, is if you can, months before your event, as you're really just finalizing artistically what you're going to be presenting on stage, what you want to do with effects, things like that. And you get a good knack of who's just throwing vocabulary out there versus who really understands how to run our particular light boards and soundboards, things like that. The other end of things is also, we're always willing to spend some time with your staff to train them on that, on our specific equipment. If they have a background in that, we can always schedule time to come in when we have dark time, when we have availability. It's when it's an hour before your tech rehearsal is supposed to start, where we've got 8 other things that we don't have time. But if you're contacting us with advanced time, when we have, now granted there's not a lot of dark days, but you know, a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, like as you're getting off work and they're getting off work, if we have the space available, getting a kind of training session with them. But those kinds of tech walkthroughs where you really are getting into the weeds of artistically what you're looking for, we can kind of suss out whether they're a right fit for you. So have a quick 15-minute phone call before saying, hey, this is what I'm concerned about. Can we suss them out? And then schedule a 30-minute after they've left, or as a follow-up to say, hey, what did you really think of this person? Do you think they're going to be able to deliver what I'm looking for?
Okay, that's helpful, because it's clear that like the TDs that I've worked with, they know their stuff, and they're also very clear that it's not their job to do
Yeah.
it. They're just here for assistance. So that's been really clear, but I've found myself in a number of situations where I've hired someone that I thought they could do what we needed them to do, and then I'm finding myself in a really stressful situation where I don't know where the breakdown is, if it's the contractor who didn't actually know what they were getting into, or if it's the TD saying what's actually not possible or what they won't allow, and then we're in a really tight spot. And so I didn't realize that we could do that ahead of time as far as coming here and looking at it. I mean, we've done like 8 or 9 shows here, so I didn't know
Yeah,
it was a
I
thing,
mean,
but-
the 2 full-time TDs are at the back of the room, and they are nodding very, very enthusiastically that is a really great way. And it also gives them more time with these technicians to kind of, if it's not somebody they're familiar with, because sometimes it's really just just not an artistic fit. There are certain lighting designers that just have an influence. That is harder for me to suss out. But you can kind of also suss out how flexible they are in that kind of situation. And we love working preemptively of getting ahead of that, of, you know, you're dealing with a nutcracker in December, but we're meeting with you in September, October, where we've got a lull in availability, and you're trying to, you know, suss out a couple of technicians to see if they're going to work right for you.
That's great, thank you very much.
I was gonna make a comment that ZAP does that. At first we didn't do tech walkthroughs and we would hold events here, and this is our home and we hold events here. It's kind of magic having these tech walkthroughs, the amount of things you thought through, or that you had planned already, and then you're asking these questions even to the TDs, where they make good recommendations for you. Now you need to go do the work yourself, but just even hearing those recommendations and doing a walk tech through has changed the way that we do business here, seriously. It's
Well,
been
yeah,
wonderful.
I learn a lot every time we're here. Ryan's always telling me things like, oh, you could do this, you could do that, which is super helpful, but it's always like, okay, let's think about that for next time.
Mhm.
I didn't realize I could be in front of it, so thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that was a great question. So thank you for asking that. I'm sure a lot of us had the same question. But I think what we're also hearing, I don't know if you've heard this a few times, but you have a lot of resources in the room, and we're always happy to help you or connect you with help if we're not the right person. So if you don't take away anything else, maybe just at least remember our phone numbers, and we will always be there to talk to you and help you out if you need anything else. So next, we're going to talk about some ticketing, and we're going to go to Lisa Eichers, who's our Arctics manager.
All right, ticketing it is. First of all, just give you a little bit of background of Arctics. We were created in 1991 to service organizations performing in arts and culture venues and their patrons. We sell tickets for basically anybody who rents our facilities. So anybody who rents Capitol Theater, Bravenel Hall, Rose Wagner Performing Arts Center, Mid-Valley Performing Arts Center, and the Eccles Theater downtown. So anybody who rents our facilities, we sell their tickets. And then we also do some offline events or offsite events, like we do ticketing for up in Logan for Utah Festival Opera as well. And then just an FYI, these are just when we're available for patrons. We have 2 hub locations that are available here at Mid-Valley and at the Eccles Theater. We have regular business hours, Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturday 10 to 2. And then we are open 90 minutes prior to any performance. I run a staff I have 4 managers. Currently I have 7 shift supervisors who basically run the events or run your shows. And then ticket agents, I run between 19 and 30 depending on what's going on. And those ticket agents work during the day answering incoming phone calls, sell tickets for walk-up, and then work night of show, selling tickets for walk-up and doing will call for night of performances. The next thing I wanted to do is I just wanted to talk through the ticket setup form and kind of just highlight each of the sections and talk through each of those sections in the ticketing format, or the ticketing section. So the first is obviously if the ticket event is free or paid. So that's the first thing, and it says please discuss printing costs with your event manager if it's a free event. Again, back to what Jessica reiterated, your event manager is your go-to person. Obviously, we request that you set up your tickets 7 business days so that we can get it set up. Sometimes we can do it faster. We can definitely do it faster, but we like that time. Just like was said previously, the more time you give us, the more successful your event is. The next section here is to indicate whether it's general admission or assigned seating. Generally for like black box theater events, those spaces are generally general admission, just because the seats are not normally numbered. And the larger spaces are reserved seating. We have done reserved seating in some of the black box spaces, but we generally don't do that. And then the audience recommendation, we have a couple in the drop down. It's not showing up on this, but you do have a choice of a drop down. Recommended for all ages, babes in arms, no ticket are required for the babies in arms. Recommended for all ages, babies in arms require a paid ticket. Recommended for ages 8 and older, no babies in arms. That's our general recommendation. That's our standard recommendation. And then there's additional mature audiences 18 and above, no babies in arms, and mature audiences 21 and above. So those are your drop-down choices in the recommended audience. The next section is just indicating if your performance includes nudity or sexually explicit content. You would indicate yes or no and give us any sort of information so that we could inform the public of that content. The next section is about your ticket pricing and scaling. We don't really tell you how to price your tickets or tell you how to scale your house. That's really your decision. We can give you samples if you're interested in seeing how we've previously scaled a 4-scale house at Janae Wagner, or how we've previously scaled a 2-scale house at the main stage. We can give you samples, or we can, if you want to say, I need to have 300 seats at $25 and the remainder of the seats at $15, we can give you a logical break in where those seat breaks, price points can be based on stairs or doors or things like that, where it makes sense for the price break to happen in the hall. So we can do that for you. Children pricing, generally children pricing or student pricing, we rely on the honesty of patrons. We don't really check ID when people select student pricing or children pricing online or over the phone. If you really want us to check to make sure that someone is a student or a child, then we would need to do only like a student rush or student child tickets at showtime for walk-up tickets, where we could check their ID or verify that there was a child in front of us. But otherwise, we rely on people's honesty. That's why the next box here says children pricing should be available online. That's just giving you the option of us putting that online. If you just want it available on the phone or walk up, that kind of decreases the number of people having the ability to check and select children pricing online without us policing that. The next section down here is other discounts. Obviously, if you want to discount tickets for particular groups, or you want to offer a discount for parents, or any sort of discount like that, then you can indicate that here. Any sort of promotions that are associated with those discounts, if you would like to use a promotion code that's associated with that discount, say for example, you want to use Christmas and they get 25% off. We can set that up so that patrons can either input the word Christmas and receive that discount, or we can send you a link where that promotion code is what's the word I want? Embedded, there we go, embedded in that link, so that you can just send out that link with your promotion, and once the patron clicks on that link, they'll be directed to our website and not have to put in the promotion code. It will automatically take them to the right page. And any other information you can give us about the promotion is greatly appreciated. The next section on here is obviously any seat kills for soundboard, lighting, console, projection, sightline issues. Obviously those will be decided as you've had a walkthrough with your technical director. We like to have those in place prior to tickets going on sale. If there's any question that these seats might be potentially partially obstructed, or we're not sure we're gonna have a soundboard, but we think we are, I would rather put those holds in place than try to move patrons after we've sold those seats. So I would rather put those holds in place and then open those seats up for sale after we decide or figure out if we're gonna have a soundboard or not. Additionally, if you need pit seating, again, that would be a conversation with your technical director on whether you're going to seat the pit. There is associated labor to putting chairs on the pit for some venues. So again, that's a conversation with your event manager and your technical director. And then if there's any additional holds that you need us to put in place for sponsors, for artists, for I don't know, who else you might need holds for, various
Board members.
Board members, yeah. So any of those, just give us those additional hold locations. If you want specific seat locations, you can indicate those. I would like orchestra center, row C, seats 1 through 4, or you can say, I need donor seats, I need 10 in the first 10 rows of the orchestra center section. You could be as big as that. The next section is if you are going to require any consignment tickets. And consignment tickets are tickets that you take off of our ticketing system and you go sell them somewhere else. So like at a bazaar or at a dance studio. And we just pull the hard tickets and give them to you, and you go sell them at a different place. With consignment tickets, there is a limit on the number that you can pull, and we also like that you track who you sold them to, what seats you gave them, so that night of show, we have a list, and if they show up and they've left their tickets on the counter, we're able to help them by reproducing those tickets, and we know who is sitting in those seats. Let's see. The next section is complimentary tickets. Again, complimentary tickets, we like to have the majority of complimentary ticket requests to us 24 hours in advance. We prefer one alphabetized list. We will take, if you have a few stragglers, up to 2 hours before the show, if you have a few that have come in last minute. Those should be sent to artix@slco.org and copy your event manager for those. When we pull those tickets, we generally send you a confirmation email that says we've done it. Here's the order number. Here's the name that they're under in will call. They'll be ready 90 minutes prior to showtime. I think there was a question that was submitted earlier about complimentary tickets and last minute sponsor tickets, and how to kind of manage that. A couple of recommendations that come to mind is obviously wrangle your sponsors. I know that sometimes can be difficult. Another couple options would be if you have estimated that you may potentially have 10 sponsors for the night, you could tell us that I have 10 sponsor tickets that I need you to pull in the orchestra center section, and then anybody who comes to the ticket office and identifies themselves as a sponsor can have tickets out of that pile. And then once those 10 tickets are gone, they're gone. Another option would be, we have some organizations that create some vouchers that they hand out, that they just give to people, and if people show up and redeem them at showtime, then they get a ticket. If they don't come and they don't redeem them, then the tickets don't get used. So that's another option. However, if you do that, we would like to help make sure that the information on the voucher is there so that my staff can redeem it. There is some key information that needs to be included on that. I have a couple of samples here that I've pulled from Myrie Woodbury. Looks like I have one from Gina Bachauer and one from RDT, if anybody wants to see kind of what those samples look like. So those are a couple of ideas to kind of help maybe those last minute sponsors that maybe aren't coming forth with giving you their RSVP to attend your performance. The next section down here is your ticket proof. This is just to basically confirm that the ticket proof that you'll be receiving from my ticketing operations manager will have all the information correctly on your ticket. A lot of this information comes directly from our ticketing software, but we just want to double check that we have all the information on your ticket that you would like us to put on there. And then the last thing on here is receiving reports. We have the capability of emailing reports automatically to you on a daily or weekly basis so that you can gauge ticket sales, you can gauge if a promotion is working, you can kind of see where you stand overall in terms of overall ticket sales. So you can indicate if you would like to have us send those on a daily or weekly basis. And I think that was everything that I had to say.
Thanks so much, Lisa. I love that. I think a lot of us probably get into the work that you're all here for because you're passionate about something and you really enjoy and you want to share it with the world. And along the way, you get to become a contracting expert and a tech expert and a ticketing expert. So you get to put on lots of hats when you put on these events. So now let's see if we can gear ourselves to become marketing experts. And we're going to have Jen talk a little bit about some resources that are available to you.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Needfeld. I'm our Community Engagement Senior Manager for the division, and I oversee our marketing and communications teams as a part of our overall community engagement team. So, our marketing team offers supplemental marketing resources to amplify your event's primary marketing. So, of course, we are not going to come in and take over any of your marketing. You will be the ones driving all of that. But as the venue, we do have some really great resources that will hopefully help to extend the reach of the information about your show to some additional audiences that we have built up over the years as well. So this includes in-venue promotion, social media promotion, email marketing opportunities, website promotion, and then I'll also talk a little bit about a graphic design support opportunity that's new, that if you guys are interested in it, you're welcome to take advantage of that. All of these options that I'll go over with you today are available a la carte by your request, so you can tailor it for any opportunities that are going to work best for your organization in particular. Because they are by your request, that does mean that you will need to work with your event manager to reach out to us so that we can help you to be able to get those prepared ahead of time. I've heard a lot from, I think, all of us here that the more lead time that you can give us, the easier it is resources for us to be able to help you with a lot of these things. And that's true for our marketing opportunities as well. For some of these, there is a specific period of time ahead of time that we'll need to get that information from you. Part of that really allows us to fit it into a pretty rigorous marketing schedule that we have, say scheduling emails or getting stuff up on our social media. Also leaving enough time that if we have additional questions for you, or if you have other questions or want to brainstorm with us, that we have some space to be able to do that with you. We have a marketing guidelines and resources page on our website that is available for every venue. We have certain resources that are available across the board, and then there are some that are a little bit unique to each venue. So I'll be focusing on the Mid-Valley ones today. If you are potentially a venue user who uses any of our other venues, just so you know, when you do go to that web page, you'll want to click on the tab for that particular venue, and then it'll give you a list of specifically what that one has, because certain ones will have different poster opportunities. Some of them may, like Capitol has a marquee, our other venues don't have a marquee. So it'll vary just a little bit. Before I jump into those though, I wanted to just go over a couple of very general marketing recommendations that I expect that you guys are already completely on top of, but these are best practices that we'd recommend for every client that would be coming into the venue. So from a marketing perspective, one of the most valuable things that you can do for yourself right off the bat is make sure that you have defined your audience for who it is you're marketing for. I think that sounds like a no-brainer, but being as specific for yourself as possible can really help you to tailor your messaging and make sure that you're using limited funds really effectively to target the right people. So in past work lives, I have also worked with organizations and marketed shows. The things that I think are really important to consider are especially your geographic location. It's easy to say, well, I want everybody in Salt Lake County to attend my show, because that is absolutely true. But you probably do have more of a target of where your primary audience is going to be coming from. If it's here at Mid-Valley, perhaps you do want to focus more in this area of the valley itself. Or if you are an organization who typically performs, say, downtown, but you're coming to Mid-Valley, maybe you still want to market to your regular market, which tends to be there, but you're wanting to bring them out to this location. Also, like age range, stage of life. Is this a show that's appropriate for families? Are you looking for young couples? Do you tend to find that you have older individuals attending your shows? Other interests that they might have that would intersect with yours. People who are really, really passionate about ballet may very well be interested in other forms of dance, but might not be super interested in like rock and roll concerts, though I personally have friends who there's a lot of overlap for that. So knowing your own audiences is really important. Related to that, writing out your timeline and your strategy is really, really helpful. Again, that seems like a no-brainer, but if you haven't sat down with, maybe you are the marketer, maybe you have one other person, maybe you have a little staff or some volunteers that you work with, having that meeting ahead of time and setting out exactly what that timeline should look like is going to make it so much easier for you as you're going along, so you don't feel like you are reacting to your marketing needs, and instead you can preempt them with planning ahead of time. So one of the biggest questions you need to ask is, when are you going to start putting your information out there? What resources do you already have to spread the word? And what do you feel like you're missing? As you are building the structure for that, I find that a lot of organizations can kind of create a template for themselves that then applies to their next show, because a lot of times they'll have sort of similar shows that they're doing, as opposed to we do everything from dance to theater to all kinds of stuff where we'd have different marketing timelines. If you do theater shows, you most likely are going to have a fairly standard, like a 90 days out. I know that that's when I want to start my primary marketing, which is another thing that I think is really important. Giving yourself enough time for your marketing is definitely a big deal. Personally, when I'm working, say, with like local community theater shows, I find that like a 90-day timeline works really well, depending on the audience that we're working with, for having a general announce and then making it a lot more dense as you lead up to it. Because I'm sure many of us have experienced this here. This will be a little bit unique to your audiences, but Utahns often exhibit late ticket purchasing behaviors. So having that last minute push pre-planned can be very, very helpful to make sure that you are ready for it. I think there's some instances where this doesn't apply as much. I've worked with some youth dance companies where the parents are going to get tickets very well ahead of time, and there's actually not a whole lot left leading up to the show. But in a lot of instances where you're working with the general community especially, if you're not sold out 2.5 weeks ahead of time, don't panic yet. Like, give yourself a little bit of extra time to really do that last push, because a lot of people will have had it in the back of their minds, but then they're not going to purchase it until maybe 4 days ahead of time because they were waiting for maybe there was a discount, or they didn't know if that weekend would clear up, or it's just kind of what they're used to doing with their ticketing purchase behaviors. So those are the things that I would recommend keeping in mind as you're approaching the marketing. My marketing staff, we're a small but mighty team within our overall community engagement team. So if you find yourself stewing over any big marketing questions and you'd like to throw some spaghetti against the wall with someone who's not always looking at the same things that you're looking at all the time, we're happy to have a quick phone call with you to talk about if maybe there are some strategies that you guys haven't considered yet, or if you have general questions that we might be able to recommend based off of things we've seen other clients do. We work with a really broad range of organizations. So in addition to the work that we perhaps has done as individuals, we do observe a lot with a lot of the organizations that are coming through as well. So that said, for the marketing resources that we have here at Mid-Valley Performing Arts Center, in your packet of information on the table, there is a sheet there that is specifically kind of at a glance one page of the things that we have available for Mid-Valley. I'm going to go over them a little more in depth. And then afterward, if you are wondering like, oh, I remember they said something about that one email that might have been great for me to participate in, definitely please reach out. Justin Green is our marketing manager, and that's his email on there. You're welcome to reach out to him. Also, you're welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions that I can help with as well. But starting with in-venue promotion, so here at Mid-Valley, we do have the digital screens that you have seen as you were walking through the lobby. Those have a loop that's consistently playing. If you have artwork for your show, we can put that up typically about, I think it's 60 days ahead of time that we can put it up, so that anyone who is in the venue, either attending other shows or if they're here for an event or if they're here to buy tickets, that they can possibly see whatever your amazing graphic or your short video clip is that you might have up on the digital screens. In addition to that, there is a specific screen here at Mid-Valley which is closest to the Arctic's office, and then there is a large video wall at Eccles Theater downtown, which we use to be able to promote shows in all of our venues. If you'd like to have that one, we have a specific frame that we need for you to just put on top of your artwork. And if you need help with that, that's something that we can also help finagle with you. But we put that little frame, it says that your show is at Mid-Valley. So if someone was at Eccles Theater downtown and they walked in and were standing in the lobby waiting for their show, when that flips through, they could potentially see that your show or event that's coming up is at Mid-Valley Performing Arts Center. It has your artwork on there, and then it's more than just here at the digital screens at this venue as well. For social media, which of course is extremely powerful, and I know that a lot of us likely focus on that a lot for what we're doing. We want to be able to amplify your efforts as well. We do have a weekly ArtTix lineup post that goes out every single week. So the week of your event, you actually don't have to ask for this one. We will put you in there regardless. So we'll have that promotion right at the very beginning of the week, so that anyone who is paying attention to our division Facebook page and Instagram page and Mid-Valley Facebook page and Instagram page, your event will be featured on that. We also would love to have you invite us as a co-host to any Facebook events that you guys have created for your event. And if you're not yet creating Facebook events for your events, we would definitely recommend doing that. It's free, low-hanging fruit. That's pretty easy. People will respond to it, and sometimes it can give you a little bit of an indication of how much people are paying attention to it. On occasion, for Mid-Valley only, we will create a Facebook event that will then invite you as a co-host. We don't do that for any of our other venues, but because Mid-Valley is newer and we want to make sure we're really giving a boost to events that are here as we're building community awareness around the venue and what you guys are doing, that's something we are able to do at times, but it's much better if you can create it yourself, and then if you invite the venue, Mid-Valley Performing Arts Center, as a co-host, then it'll show up, and then it is on the Mid-Valley's Facebook event page, and then that actually allows us to more easily share it out as well, which we'll do leading up to the event. There's additional promotion that we can do on our social media as well. Like I mentioned, so we have a Mid-Valley Performing Arts Center Facebook page and Instagram page, and an Salt Lake County Arts and Culture Division Facebook page and Instagram page. So we can do show announcements, we can do discount offers, we can do additional show promotion, we can run special stories about your show. There are opportunities for videos or reels that if you would like to work with us on that, we're super, super happy to do that. We're lucky to have a dedicated part-time social media specialist who is super, super creative, and we love being able to put up new novel content that will help to promote your show better. Because we have, again, this small, mighty staff that serves all of these venues and all of the clients at all of the venues, this is something that we rely on you to reach out to us about. And again, the more time you can give us, the easier it is to have that conversation to say, okay, you want to have a show discount, we could schedule it for this day, or you'd like to have a special reel created with your rehearsal and it's on this particular day. If our staff's available, we can possibly send them out, have them make a little clip and they can share it. Or even better, if you guys have created something and you can provide us that content, we can post it. So there are a lot of options there that we can use to help amplify what you have already on social or to create some new things. We also do have ads and boosting available on our accounts, and we can accommodate most timelines and budgets. Typically how that works is if you reach out and say, hi, I have $100 that I'd love to have you guys spend to boost these posts for this period of time on your pages, and then we can do that for you, and then that serves you through the audience that we have built up through our social media pages. Our email marketing has really grown a lot in the last couple of years and has become an extremely powerful tool. We have about 105 subscribers on our marketing list. All of these individuals have either been previous ticket purchasers or they've signed up for the newsletter independently on their own, so they've very purposefully opted into it. We spent the last couple of years doing some very serious segmentation of the list so that we have specific segments that will apply to your genre. So if you do dance, or if you are theater, or if you're specifically local productions, that's another kind of sub one. We'll sometimes combine some of these groups as well, which will give you an email audience that is used to opening those emails, that is actually interested in whatever it is you are doing in particular, and that has really increased our open rates and our click-through rates a lot. So that's something we do regularly as maintenance that will serve you with any emails you might do with us. We do have a monthly Arctics on Stage newsletter that's sent out at the beginning of the month, and your event will be featured in that. That list is segmented, so when people sign up for our newsletter, we ask them to say what they're interested in. So if someone has said that they're interested in comedy, they're interested in theater, they're interested in symphonic music, when they click those and they receive our newsletter, they will specifically see the events that fall in those categories. They don't see the other events, and this is actually a benefit to you. It truly is, because having an engaged email list audience that wants to see what's arriving in their inbox means when they get your event and they've said, I want to see these kinds of events, they'll be excited about it and motivated to interact with it. So we've seen some really good growth with that. We do have exclusive discount or pre-sale e-blasts. These are $500 an email. We have found that it is very, very rare that someone does this and does not make at least $500 in tickets. Normally it's a decent amount above that. this is something that I'd recommend that you talk to your event manager about, because there are some additional options with that. For these exclusive emails, again, they do either need to be a pre-sale, so you're offering them something special ahead of time, or that you're giving them a little bit of a discount, which really increases that additional interaction. But it's an email that goes out to that segmented list of individuals that are interested in your genre, and it's just your event. We also run almost every month themed discount emails. These are free to participate in. You do have to offer a discount. They get, honestly, really, really great traction. Our marketing manager tracks the sales for these for every single email, and they've just been getting better and better. We find our audiences really do like combing through to find that extra special experience that they wanted to get, and they get a little bit of a discount. And it doesn't have to be huge. You can do a buy one, get one if you want, but we've seen a lot of success with shows that can only really float, say, a 10% discount or a 20% discount. So that's something that you can also will coordinate with Arctics, so that the discount will be created, and then we'll include that in that email. We also have automatic abandoned cart emails, just so you know. So if someone had your tickets in their cart and then they got distracted and wandered away, they do get an email that says, hey, you should go back and look at this because you looked really interested in it. That just happens on its own. On our website, all of your events are featured on our event calendar there, but one thing that I'd encourage you to consider for your events is the featured event banner that we have on the website. This does require that you have a specific graphic that's created for it, but we're able to put this up a certain period of time ahead of time. I think it's a month. And that will give you, when they come and they go to our event calendar page, it'll cycle through usually 4 or 5 banners, and one of those will potentially be your event. I mean, it would if you're on there, they'll see it. And then the graphic design assistants, as we're talking about needing to have different shapes and sizes for some of these images. We've recently set up a partnership with the Salt Lake Community College to connect clients and venue users with students for assistance on graphic design. We're really just the connector in this. We are not managing your project. We are not telling you what to do with the students. But if you are interested in this, please talk with your event manager. They will connect with us on it. Then we're able to create a listing, and then we can send interested students to speak with you. You are not required to pay the students for the opportunity. We typically recommend that you do offer them something. That's our encouragement, to make sure that all artists and professionals are receiving something for their work, even if they're students and kind of learning along the way. But this is a great opportunity for them to connect in with organizations in our community. And if you're an organization that needs just a little bit of extra design help, or if you have a show coming up that you just didn't have the resources to put something together for, that's something that you could consider. That one is definitely, I would recommend doing that as soon as you think you might want to do it, because that can take a second to be able to move forward. All right, so those are the sort of in-house opportunities. We are constantly brainstorming things that hopefully would be of assistance to you guys. So if there's something that you're like, oh my gosh, I really wish they did this thing. I can't promise that we can do that thing, but I would love to talk with you about it to see. Please let us know. We'd love to talk with you about it. We'll tell you if it's not something we can do right now, but it might be something we could do later, and we love being able to brainstorm that with you. Very last, we do have, I think it's another thing in your packet of information. There are all kinds of outside resources that you should definitely be paying attention to when you're looking at how you might want to market your event. So there's a lot of local earned media and paid advertising opportunities. We've made a list of ones that you might want to consider if that fits within your audience demographics. We do have some contact information for some of them. We haven't put them on there because sometimes the reps change like all the time. But if you have questions, we may be able to connect you with someone, or it might be an organization that you want to send an email to them, and then they'd be able to work with you for something for advertising, or if you have a press release that you can connect with their reporting staff so that you can potentially get some coverage. If anyone is not using PBS Contact as a resource yet, if you are a nonprofit in Utah and you have an experience for people to have, they are absolutely phenomenal. You get a little 3-minute spot with Mary Dixon, and you typically will be able to do that up to 2 times a year. I believe you can go to their website to look up that information. It does show on PBS. I know they have a very early morning showing. They'll kind of play it throughout the day, and sometimes they'll repeat it leading up to your event too. It also gives you a professional interview that they give you the link to the video, and then you can share it out on your social media, and then it gives you just that little boost of having someone talk with you about your event that's filmed in a very professional situation or setting. Connecting to local radio is also great. There's a list there. There are a lot of stations around here that are interested in talking to artists, in talking about what's going on. If you especially are serving interesting segments of the community, or you have fun events that are coming up, that's something to consider. One thing we've started using recently, and you might consider it, is if you've seen them, blip boards. So they're the digital billboards. They're all over, I mean, not just the county, they're all over, but this is basically in the sort of dead advertising space that they have. Instead of you paying $5,000 to have a billboard up for an entire month, it's more like advertising on social media, where you say, okay, I have a budget of $500 and I want it to run for 2 weeks, and here's my artwork for it, and I'd like it to run in signs on these particular areas. So if there's a geographic area that you're interested in advertising your event at, these are usually most helpful right before your event, so within a week or two of it. But they have been super helpful for us with some of our free community events that we've been doing, and I know that there are a lot of other organizational peers who are using it. So if you're not yet, definitely recommend looking into it. We also have a pretty comprehensive list of where you could go to post your event on local calendars. I imagine many of you already have your list for that, but if you're wondering, where could I post this online, because I have so many extra hours to go and post this everywhere, that is a pretty comprehensive list, so that you guys can kind of run down that and see what's most useful for you. All right, I know that was a lot of information to throw at you. Just condensing it all the way down to take a glance at that one sheet ahead of your event. Ideally, if you could do that like during your booking process, and then give us whatever the time frame is. There's a requested time frame to give us things ahead of time or to make the request, but feel free to just reach out. We'd love to talk with you about your event, and we'd love to be able to amplify it with our resources as much as possible, which we'll continue to build. And if you have extra ideas for things that you might want, don't be shy. Go ahead and send us an email, and we'd love to talk with you about it.
All right, so before I open up for some questions, can we just thank our presenters today? I don't think it was possible to listen to them and not get a couple of nuggets of useful takeaway information. But if you have some questions, we have plenty of time, so we can open it up.
So I have used the same insurance coverage for the last couple concerts that we've given. And in my one that I just did this last spring, apparently there was a phrase or verbiage in there that Mid-Valley wanted removed. And the place that I get my insurance through said that's a standard form, we will not send you a new form. And so we just, went back and forth. But do you have the form, like with the verbiage that needs to be on there, so that when we get our insurance coverage, it doesn't have language in there that you guys don't want?
We can send you an example certificate that has the things we absolutely need. We had never seen that phrase in any insurance policy we have gotten in the 18 years I've worked here. So you threw us. So I was surprised that they said that was standard. So we're like, I think that needs to be removed. When your insurance pushed back, we then, reviewed it with our risk management and said, but we can certainly tell you the things we absolutely have to have. There's something in the air with insurance companies. We have gotten some real new things this year that have kind of thrown us, because we had just never seen that phrase before.
It was just interesting to me because it's the same one that I've used in the past. I don't know if they added it to their form, because they would just be like, oh, the same location, the same, and be like, yep, everything's the same, it's just this new date.
Yeah, something changed in that new form they sent us.
Okay,
So maybe they had it deeper embedded. We usually just look at the certificate of insurance to make sure that, you know, the important points are there. We don't usually dive into the full thing, so maybe it had been buried and
Maybe.
there all along and we just didn't see it.
But yeah, if I knew, like, then I could prevent that.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely. I can have your bills of joy for
Am I
them.
the only one?
No,
Have that
there
problem?
is, again, it's been really kind of funny this year. I'm getting these insurance questions and issues that we've just never seen before. So I don't know why.
Okay.
But happy to share the kind of the example certificate and highlight the points that we absolutely have to have. And new verbiage might just be case by case basis.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
I think that's called a learning opportunity for our team, right? So thanks for that. Any other questions?
I just had a question about concessions. I didn't see that on the ticket form, but can you guys explain to me how concessions work?
Absolutely. Here at Mid Valley, Happy Camper is our concessionaire. It is not the same concessionaire as the other buildings. They have exclusive right to sell any food or drink in the venue. So you cannot sell your own food or drink. You can give it away for free. We typically only require them at public events in the main stage and then give them the opportunity to come if it's just a Studio 54 event. 5400. Just because sometimes the numbers in there, like with a half house performance in Studio 5400, you're looking at 100 people, which he's usually paying his people more. So, but it's kind of an automatic thing. If there's ever a reason you don't want them, we can ask them not to come, but otherwise it's just an automatic service.
My question, and I thought you asked this, is about the booking, being able to reserve it. And I get the thing about being a repeat customer, but like somehow we got in last year and we loved it. It's just impossible for future years out. We're like, we can't get a place for 3 years out or something. So how can, we can't build a tracker because we can't get in. So it's sort of like, that.
I don't know if I have an answer for you. You got really lucky last year and we had a cancellation that we were able to put you in that space. I don't know if we'll ever be able to get you in November or December. It'll be very few days and it will be weekdays if we can. Your event manager is keeping an eye out, I promise. And if things pop up, they will get a hold of you immediately if any of those cancellations. So it kind of comes back to that managing your holds as a courtesy to your fellow client or fellow artists. If you aren't going to use a hold, let it go, because we have people, we genuinely, there are some dates where the stack of requests is this high. So I wish I had better news, but it's going to be tough to get those.
What is it?
A hold is where we will, so if the first person who gets a date, so to speak, we put a hold on, and it's theirs until either we ask them to release or we go to contract. If it's still a hold, we're willing to put a hold behind that, and we're willing to put a hold behind that. So we'll go up to 3 holds. And then if the first one moves, we'll move you up, or if it goes to contract, then the second and third hold will go away. So, but majority of our holds do come through, and once in a while there will be a fluke where, especially, I dare say that once upon a time, May, June, December, and November were our peak months.
Year-round peak now?
Some of my staff is hiding from September. Those of you in the back of the room, you can head out. Every day of the month is booked. And all of the spaces are probably about 87% booked, which means there's about 4 days in the month they're not booked. That's September. That's never been our experience to start out a season with that kind of month. So our success is a double-edged sword.
The benefit of that is we are frantically working on designing our next facility that will be out in South Jordan in the Daybreak area. And we are very close to finalizing what a construction budget would look like so that we can request that money. That doesn't help you before probably 27, but the success of this facility has just been phenomenal to the point where we're designing and building the next one as fast as we can.
That's beautiful. Is that gonna be like that by Mountain View?
It'll be near the Mountain View corridor. It's going to be directly adjacent to the Daybreak Library. So it will have reasonable access from both tracks and Mountain View corridor, just straight up the street from where they're building the baseball stadium.
Oh, nice. Will it be similar to this, or will it be like a smaller version, or do they know yet? Do you know yet?
I know. Well, I know what we're designing towards. So it is, in a lot of ways, similar to this facility. I can't give you what seat counts are going to be, but it is at least comparable to this. We're hoping multiple rehearsal spaces, as well as at least one main stage performance space. So the very specifics, we don't have all of that. I know what I want, but what I want and what the budget will afford are a little out of balance right now, but we're getting closer to finding that balance point. And once we do, then we'll present it to council, which we're hoping to have the construction funding for next year. We have design funding now, but we're hoping to have construction funding so I can break ground next year, hopefully.
I think it's a very nice complement to the buildings we have. That's the goal,
Yes.
is that it really complements. We don't want to just repeat Mid-Valley because we want to make sure there's even more opportunity out there, but definitely know that there's a lot of clients here who could utilize that opportunity as well.
Will it continue to obviously work with ZAP and different arts organizations? That's the point, right?
Yeah, and definitely, when we start getting into mid-year 26, contact your event managers and say, hey, how's the progress going? Is that booking calendar open yet? For some of you that have been around since day one here that jumped on those first calendars, we have some kind of, I got a degree in theater and now I do a whole lot of construction management, so I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but we kind of have a buffer zone of a few months of where we think it's going to be done, but it may or may not be, and the having some flexibility of kind of having a backup plan, or you don't have anywhere else, and if it's done, great, you'll be there. But we'll start looking at that. Where they did, I mean, we started having some conversations about a year before we were ready to go. In this building, when it opened, it was not just construction management, but it was COVID management. So it was, is the building going to be done before we come out of COVID protocols or not? And it kind of coincided, and we hit it like gangbusters, like right as the public gathering protocols were released. So hopefully I'm not building another one in that scenario. But, easily by middle of 26, I will have some idea of where our projected finish is, and then what calendar dates might open up. And there, as we get into 27, there might also be the opportunity when we get into that, we're going to work with our clients here that have interest there of, they might have a soft hold out of there and a hold here, or a contracted dates here that will allow them to move those down there if it's done, and then that's your
back of the line too.
well, but you can be ready to pounce and talking with your event manager of, okay, which get me on both lists, and when you know what's going on, then we can, and our goal is really, as Jessica said, to get as many of these dates filled as possible. As my technical directors, we're also trying to stay busy enough that the council will approve us for another technical director, and we're right at that edge now. So it's, the snowball of all of this, it benefits all of us. It just allows us that and I anticipate my career is going to be building one of these buildings about every 4 years as we go. So there's at least 2 more locations identified within the county where it would be beneficial to have a regional arts facility. So if the next one goes gangbusters like this one, then we'll be looking at finding ways to design the next one after that.
It's awesome. Well, this was our 10th year doing the prep, and this was by far the greatest experience we've ever. We thought we had died on to heaven, so.
Well,
Gee,
we're
we love
thrilled to
hearing
hear
that.
that. And trust me, our event managers they're watching. They really, I think they take it personally when they have to tell you we don't have dates. Like, oh, I can't get you here. So we really are trying. So that week between Christmas and New Year's, always open. I think it's a great time. Like, yeah, everyone's off. You're not committed to stuff.
At Rose Wagner, we had a local a cappella group that they had tried for years to get a pre-Christmas date. And then they realized that all of their family was still in town and completely bored with nothing to do between Christmas and New Year's. And they started doing it on the 26th or the 27th.
Something like that,
and their sales skyrocketed from any other year just because everybody's still in that Christmas mood and in town, and they're like trying for one last little Christmas fix before New Year's.
Okay. Who's your event manager again? Is it Tyler? Call her right now. Email her right now. I'm not kidding. The other thing is, I don't know if I said this, if you ask for a date, if it's available and you want it held, tell us. It literally could get scooped up in the hour. We're waiting for you to respond. So just hold it. It is easier to hold it. And then, again, please release it, though, if you're not going to use it. But yes, I would contact her right now.
But yeah, we honestly have had some success of that gap in between where people are still looking for that entertainment that is still family and all of that oriented, that does well in that gap.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Really good idea.
This is the brain
Good.
trust.
And
Get her out of
it gets you
school.
into that frequent user mode.
A couple more of those, and yeah.
And I think too, just the pain point of venue space, rental space, that availability is very much felt, I think, in our community. And just, not that it makes the pain point go away, but just an acknowledgement. It's in the division's master plan. It's on almost every category of the master plan. So that's just a note, like, I think we hear you and we do what we can. We have other venues that are coming online. It doesn't alleviate today's problem, but we are getting that feedback. We're hearing it. It's a shared issue, right? It's just a challenge that we're trying to overcome. But I'm glad you're here and telling us.
My 2 questions are for Jen. Jen, on the digital signage that's here, what is the cost of that? Because on the sheet it doesn't list the cost.
That's because it's free. Yes. Yeah, no cost for the digital signage. The only thing that would cost a little bit extra is that exclusive email, and that's really just because we have such a limited schedule for it. So yeah, otherwise, if you want to just let us know that you'd like to have it, and then give us the artwork of the correct dimensions, and then we'll be able to schedule it for you.
Question on the email.
Yeah, for sure.
So the prices for our entry are just so low compared to literally every event there is, because we more want people to come and learn than we want. I mean, it'd be great to earn a lot of money for the organization.
Of course.
But we mostly want people to come and learn. So you say that, you said that the email has to have, in order to qualify, there has to be a pre-sale or a discount on the tickets. And that's absolute, there has to be a discount.
Go ahead and connect with your event manager on it, and then we'll talk about it a little more. We do understand that, like, for example, if you have an event that is already free or deeply discounted, there absolutely may be some circumstances where we would make an exception to that. But it would likely be in the instance of it either being a free event already, you can't discount that already to begin with, or if you already have like demonstrably really low ticket prices for that particular reason, I would say let's just talk about it and then we can see if that's going to fit in okay. Thank you for asking that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, those are great questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to ask a second question, but in piggybacking off the vetting, the technical person, and your suggestion to do a walkthrough, and then you guys could listen to what that person's saying to see if they really just know what they're talking about or not. I love that idea because I'm going to be doing that, but I'm wondering if every day is booked, how can we schedule a walkthrough? Like, can we just like come into the back of the theater or once?
Yeah, so we'll work with our calendar. So it may be that there's a lunch break, or a group is just, they're doing their performances in the evening, so they're not arriving until 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and you can come in at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's like all of our other walkthroughs, new client walkthroughs, things like that. We'll say here are some times where that space is available. Ideally, we'd like it to really be completely available if we can, so that we can turn consoles on and they can look at things and things like that. But your event manager and technical director will work to find the time that works for everybody, that you can get the most out of that. But yeah, we're good at sneaking those in here and there, and I've had to walk council members through during things that are really, really actively going on, and we just, pop your head in, look around, and then go back out to the lobby to discuss what you need to discuss.
Yeah, so I'll add to that, arrange it with your event manager. We do our best, I guess, minus council members, that if something's live, whether it's a live rehearsal or obviously a live show, we won't do it. But if it's dark for any reason, we can try to get you in. So your event manager can help you arrange that, and then they'll connect with a technical director to make sure they're there to support you. So,
and respecting your show the same way we respect others,
Right.
we're not going to
Yes.
get into the console and things like that. We're going to try and find a time, if it's a soundboard operator, where at best a gap between shows, after a load in, before a load in, things like that, where we can touch those. We're doing the standard theater protocols of you don't touch people's props, and you don't do anything with their sound console without them there. So,
or sometimes we'll even ask for permission to pop in during a show. I've had to do that. Like, we're doing a tour. Could we just pop into the auditorium? But we at least will ask the client before we would do that. So, again, your event manager. That's your go-to.
Great. Any other questions right now?
I was just curious, and maybe this is online, but do you guys know like the size of your stages versus the studios or the black boxes? I'm just curious if like, because the main stage is so full all the time, like maybe a dress rehearsal in the studio, but then, so is it comparable, like the different?
yeah,
Yes.
so this space specifically is designed so that you can tape out or mark out the exact dimensions of the main stage. And if you go into the rental information, there's the technical information that has all of the dimensions of the spaces. But yes, this room specifically, and did we build the other one?
Studio 5400 this way, so not as seating. If you rotate it 90 degrees, it's the same footprint as main stage.
Yeah. So and you can get pretty comparable, but this space is designed especially for the dance groups, where it is as wide as the physical stage, not the proscenium width. So you can actually look at leg and how far it is to get all the way off stage and get back on stage if you have to. I've seen many a professional dancer get bit by thinking only going about 1.5 feet off stage when they've got to go 10 off stage, 10 back on stage.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I just want to say thank you again for being here. I'm going to send a follow-up email to everyone with a really brief survey. Your feedback is really helpful when we're creating events like this. If you have ideas for events, things that you would really like to see some more opportunities to connect or learn, just let us know. We're happy to listen to those. Pretty much all of the things we've done so far have been a response to something we have heard. So just know that it's heard and we're responsive, and we love to do any kinds of trainings that are things that are directly helpful to you. You can apply it right away. So thank you again. We are still all here if you have questions, and yeah, have a good evening. Thanks.